Did you know, unlike other drugs that require a withdrawal and detox, Adderall or Vyvanse, or for that case, stimulants in general, can either be stopped abruptly, meaning cold turkey, or can be tapered. Depending on how much you were using or the user was using, there are implications for either cold turkey or tapering. What's going on, everyone? This is your daily dose of mental health, and in this video we will be discussing Adderall and Vyvanse, in particular stimulus withdrawal. We will be discussing 5 natural remedies on how to make the detox or withdrawal easier, and we will be discussing 2 particular methods in regards to the detox period, meaning we will be discussing how you can use either tapering or you can use cold turkey when deciphering how you want to get off this medication. What's up, everyone? First, I would really like to break down amphetamine withdrawal into 3 main categories, being the withdrawals will include anxiety and panic attacks, nightmares, and fatigue. Now, the first idea with the anxiety and panic attacks, the ways we can attack and reduce the symptoms of amphetamine withdrawal in regards to Adderall and Vyvanse in particular, there are 3. There are kava kava. And kava kava, it has been known in smaller doses can act as a relaxant, it relaxes your muscles, and it's not addictive. It can really push the panic attacks aside, and it can really help with long-term bouts of sleeplessness and anxiety, which, as I said, for the first category, when breaking down, anxiety and panic attacks are typically the worst symptoms of amphetamine withdrawal. It is also, in my opinion, important to realize that kava in high doses has the same effect as alcohol. So if you drink too much of it and you drive, you could get a DUI, as you would if you drank alcohol. So keep that piece of information with kava kava in regards to if you're going to take it or if you're not. Also, they have teas that work really well with it. You can just go to your local grocery store and go pick it up. But the main thing is, since it really helps with anxiety and panic attacks and it acts as a relaxant, that would be one really good supplement or tea that you could use. Another one for anxiety and panic attacks would be Valerian Root. I say this one because Valerian Root, and is a tea as well. It's a herb that has been used for centuries, and it's been used to control anxiety. So anxiety again. The difference is, unlike kava or alcohol, it is not normally intoxicating unless someone takes very large amounts. So same thing, you don't want to go to the extreme with these, because in very large amounts it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous, and if you're taking other meds while detoxing, you can have interactions with it. And just taking a large dose of it is impractical because you're not going to be getting really anything out of it. So be very careful with Valerian Root, and once again, discuss all of these with your provider if you can. Let's move on to the next category, nightmares. I personally had these. I remember these as a kid. Although there's not really an herbal cure for this, there are some who say that listening to soothing sounds before you go to bed can be the remedy for this. In particular, if you listen to a combination of tones and just different sounds, the word is, what is it? It's like binaural sounds. When you mix these 2 together, it can just be extremely relaxing. And the frequency sounds are typically below 1500 hertz. And once again, this is really good at relaxing you and putting you in a meditative state when listened to. So the big key with this is when you say, 1500 hertz, the key is listening to just really relaxing tones and just sounds before bed. And you can just look up on YouTube relaxing sounds for nightmares before bed, because I will tell you, nightmares suck with it. And lastly, as I said, with the last category, fatigue. And my big thing is with this, although many people believe that caffeine is the answer to amphetamine withdrawal, once again with Adderall or Vyvanse in particular, fatigue is often, the fatigue aspect of it, caffeine does not affect. The only thing that truthfully combats fatigue is rest. So yes, a little, once again, I'm not going to say no caffeine, but if you drink a little bit of caffeine, that's fine. But if you overdo the caffeine with this last category of fatigue, it's not going to help. It'll make you more anxious, because remember, anxiety is huge when going through this detox. Rest is big. So you're going to be sleepy, but you need to sleep. Your body, remember, you've depleted a lot of your dopamine, and if you're cold turkeying it, you're going to feel this way, and it's normal to feel this way. In particular, as I said, fatigue, nightmares, and the anxiety and the panic attacks. It's going to happen. I remember this once again when I was younger, going through the detox, and how my advice would be, how I would get off of amphetamines in the future would be to detox it, because would be to taper it, because cold turkey can be very rough. If you're at least tapering will make it where it will be unpleasant, but it won't make it near as unpleasant, because your brain will be adjusting while you're tapering down. So just remember, to sum this up with the fatigue, that yes, caffeine can help, and a lot of people do believe that caffeine is the answer when addressing amphetamine withdrawal in regards to fatigue, but it often does not work because people overdo it and use too much of it. Also, remember, these are all remedies that I just discussed that can help, but if none of these are working, or just in general, a good advice if you're going to be going through this would be always to seek medical advice or treatment. And sometimes with severe addiction, stronger medications are needed. So this is where, in my opinion, the medical treatment would come in. And even though herbal remedies are a great way to reduce the symptoms of amphetamine withdrawal, there are times when treatment, seeing your medical doctor, is the better idea, because they can use things like Wellbutrin, which is a cognitive enhancer that can really help. And just to let your provider know, because it'll at least, when you're going through this, you will be able to at least specifically tell them what you are going through, so they can address it with medications or even further treatment that they believe could be right. Once again, this is really the 5 natural remedies. Before I go any further, if you could please like and subscribe to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. And what we will be going into next is the difference between cold turkey and tapering, between, in particular, Adderall or Vyvanse, or as we say, amphetamine withdrawal or stimulant abuse disorder. Now let's first discuss Adderall withdrawal. If you stop using Adderall, if you stop using it abruptly, it will and can cause withdrawal symptoms which some can be very serious. Some of the withdrawal effects include feeling uneasy, sleeping problems, hunger, anxiety, and irritability, which we just discussed. Panic attacks is big, fatigue, how I broke those down, those 3 segments, depression, phobias or panic attacks, and a big one where you'd want to seek medical advice is suicidal thoughts. Also, one thing I want to real quick clarify, there is something known as the Adderall Crash withdrawal, which can leave a person feeling the opposite effects of the stimulant itself because of the resulting of an imbalance of chemicals in the brain, which in particular dopamine. And with this the Adderall Crash, it includes cravings for Adderall, agitation and irritability, anxiety or panic, fatigue, feelings of depression, increased appetite, insomnia, and once again, as I talk about, vivid or unpleasant dreams, nightmares. Now, once again, the next I will be covering real quick is Vyvanse. And some of the side effects for that are really, they're very similar. However, the one thing I will say about Vyvanse is, for me, it was harder to get off that as a kid because they essentially cold turkeyed it for me. But if tapered, it actually can be easier to get off than Adderall. A lot of studies have shown that. Also, real quick, here are some other important facts in regards to Vyvanse. If you suddenly stop taking Vyvanse, it can cause withdrawal symptoms that are slightly different, which include, but they are pretty similar to Adderall, severe tiredness, sleep problems, mental and mood changes, and depression. So it's a lot more of those mental cravings that you'll have compared to Adderall, which are the physical cravings. A lot of times why they say Adderall is harder to get off of is because it's that instant, it hits faster. Vyvanse takes a lot longer to kick in. You can check out my other video, part 1, about Adderall versus Vyvanse and how they are different in regards to how they act in your body, which I'll leave at the very end of the video. And real quick, just want to hit on this. Between these two, you can cold turkey or you can taper Adderall or Vyvanse. However, if you were using it over multiple years every day, I would highly advise you to see a medical doctor because they would want you to do a taper program, or if not, they would probably want you to, if you're going to cold turkey, they'd want to use something else like Wellbutrin or even some sort of low-dose benzo to really help with the anxiety aspect of it. Once again, cold turkey, you stopped abruptly, and essentially with tapering, you're going to be over a couple months slowly reducing your dose. So if you're taking 40 milligrams of Adderall daily, they would drop it is typically every week they drop 5 to 10 milligrams of your dose. Vyvanse, on the other hand, since it's typically a capsule form, that it's harder to drop, but they would drop it probably because really it's like, okay, there's like a 40 milligram, or let's say there's like a 70 milligram Vyvanse, they would probably drop you next to 40. So you drop a bigger amount because just of how the capsule doses work. But once again, with both of them, Adderall and Vyvanse, to sum it up, if you were thinking about getting off of it, what I would do is I would recommend talking to your medical doctor and deciding which way would be better for you in regards to tapering, or cold turkeying it would be something you should discuss with your doctor. Once again, I love you all. This is your daily dose of mental health. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting out more videos, and we're going to be covering a lot of other mental health topics in the future. This was just a quick video in regards to Adderall and Vyvanse. I've been prescribed both of them, what I've experienced and whatnot, but check out part 1 of this as well, which clearly discusses the differences between these two. I love you all. Have a great week. Leave a comment below on your experience with it, and let's just continue to kick ass. That's all we can do. I'd like to say thank you to all my new subscribers and everyone who checks out my content. The Daily Dose of Mental Health really appreciates it. I love you all, and check out all my content from my journey to every other aspect of mental health. But just know I love you all, and I appreciate all the support, and I read all the comments, and I will get back to everyone as soon as I can in the comments. Peace and love.